With the extended use of meta-procedural irony and self-referential play of itself, the hypersoftware title There Is No Game comments on the increasingly prevalent nature of people integrating with technology. Human and technology integrations in this case are not only increasingly ubiquitous and easy to use, but the way in which video game and tech designers make their tools take on more human qualities. Tech is becoming more emotionally and consciously aware of human conduct, while people adopt more computer-like qualities through repetitive and algorithmic behaviors. This game elucidates that, be it intentional or not, as people continue to engage with computers and video games, the line becomes blurred as to who is acting more like the other on the human-computer spectrum. Is it human thought or digital thought that governs when and how computational actions are carried out? There Is No Game tells the story of a program named Game, and a silent player avatar referred to as User. You play as User and meet Game initially upon loading Game's program. Game makes it apparent that they, as just a program, should not be interpreted as a video game. User, be it through denial, curiosity, or the divine pull of fate, ignores Game's pleas to leave it alone, instead forcefully engaging with Game's program. Every request from Game to not push, shake, or utterly dismantle something in the program results in the exact opposite, along with more of Game's curses and annoyance with User. User goes far enough with his unwanted contact to the point that a very disgruntled Game yells and wakes up a major disturbance throughout the course of the story. It is with the entrance of this disturbance that a literal glitch in Game's program, known as Glitch, that the story really sets into motion. Glitch breaks Game's program, sending Game and User to increasingly messy dimensions. While these dimensions have never before been seen by Game, the concepts governing them do seem to be pretty familiar to Game. By going through various worlds, taking on the tune of detective mystery games, action-adventure games, accursed free-to-play games, and the technologies of the real world, User and Game pursue Glitch to stop its, never fully explained, evil plan. Along this journey, User learns more about Game's important companion Gigi, Game's creator, and why Game itself is a program that does not want to be considered a video game, despite all the signs suggesting it is one. Throughout the story, the core gameplay consists of User coming up with creative ways to exert influence upon the dimensions to progress. User, being, well, you to some extent, can act with knowledge utilizing ideas and themes not inherent within the dimension Game and User are currently within. By directly influencing the interface and program of the dimensions, you are able to metagame in a way playing off the irony of being placed within a video game. The significance of these interactions is presented in how User cannot be an omnipotent being performing whatever act they so please to. User must adhere to subtle openings and perversions in the world that allow for greater disruption and manipulation. When we look at all the tools afforded to the user in their interactions with the various dimensions, it becomes apparent that these tools change as they are utilized. Menus and other interactive modes of the medium become employed for different purposes within different contexts. A UI bar can become a weapon, or credit sequences can become portals. Obstacles in one place become bridges in the next. This characteristic of handling tools for varied conventions mirrors the way in which human play transforms an object to what it is not in the moment it is being used that way. David Myers denotes this way of referencing an object with an altered view or purpose as looking at this object's anti-form. The game enacts its self-referential play with itself on many accounts, to shadow our reality of what to normally expect from objects represented in the game. An example of this appears in the action-adventure dimension. When we walk through a map to fill it up, we look at it as a map, but when we pick it up and use it as a key, it exists somewhere between being a map and a key, but neither entirely. It has adopted a unique form and purpose reliant on its self-reference of being able to click a key and our own understanding of being able to use it in both of these ways. The game is full of this type of object or conceptual play in which representations of user mouse clicks govern actions throughout the story. Not every perceived item relationship the user thinks of will necessarily translate into a liminal or formal game event, but certain objects will interact with others to provide a clue or a chance at moving forward, while most other movable objects do not have particular interaction with each other. The meaning that people collectively attribute to the in-game representations of objects is what governs our understanding of what to do. It seems feasible that a coin can act as a tool to unscrew a bolt, because this is something often done in real life. In the same way that the map that serves as a key is not just a literal map, we can look at game and user as not just being the things that their monikers point to. The magic circle that differentiates what belongs in the fictional game realm and a literal understanding of a concept has multiple ways of being drawn here. Game is literally a program once created to be played like an RPG. Game, through our interactions, however, is known to be stubborn and impatient, with a diminished sense of worth attached to the thought of being abandoned, and who has a lingering sense of grief attached to loss of a loved one. Game is not just a semantically logical series of
01101010101010101010101.
This may be game's natural calling or environment, but game's anti-self is emotionally variable, at least enough to pass a low-fidelity Turing test. But just how far does this anti-Foreman magic circle extend throughout There Is No Game? We can spread it enough to think of a certain digital program like a human character, but what other entities within the story become specially transformed in this way? Looking at There Is No Game through a similar lens as Bradley J. Fest does of Stanley Parable, I would argue that this transformation occurs a lot, in various settings and locations, of certain tropes and trends, and in some general phenomena attached to present-day human and technology interaction. The meta nature of both of these games is capable of getting its players to think of particular pieces of technology that they interact with often in a way starkly different from what they typically do. This is in part accomplished through metaproceduralism. As described by Fest, metaproceduralism is a type of institutionalized irony, and a self-reflexive video game technique that responds to and attempts to exploit the informatic, algorithmic logic of cultural production in the digital age. What this means is that this type of irony, rather than deny or try to reveal the stance that culture is algorithmically produced in the digital age, leads into this algorithmic logic to make a statement. Some of my favorite examples of this historically throughout games are in save file delete bluffs, or in rare cases, actual save file deletions. The game wants you to realize in these situations that those who possess power within the game realm can theoretically exert it onto you at any given moment. The game you're playing is governed by their rules after all. These games want to make it clear that they know the limits of the realism, and they can use it to create experiences unique to the potential and medium that they are being played on. How many times did I have to X out this annoying pop-out ad before realizing I had to act on it? A while. And rightfully so, because the clue was presented as an annoying pop-out ad. Metaproceduralism utilizes my association with these ads as something to click through as fast as my fingers can to make an interesting game puzzle. Metaproceduralism, when used this way, can also influence thought on ideas present in our own world. In the moment when Glitch escapes the router, Glitch has power over the creator. Glitch easily influences traffic, vacuums, computers, and the other things that it is connected to. These acts highlight some of the growing environmental or security concerns of increasingly ubiquitous and human-centered technology. It is not difficult to imagine cyber attacks unleashing destructive viruses on similar machines in our world, or non-obvious errors that are intrinsic to autonomous vehicles. The integrations shown in this game are already parts of reality and will only be pushed further each day, so this game, being observed through the perspective of metaprocedural irony, may aim to show us a type of almost interpersonal connections we could have or should aim to have with our own technology. Something else to note about Stanley Parable is that it opens with a moment of systemic breakdown, in which ordinary algorithmic instruction given to Stanley at work has gone missing. Deviation from Stanley's normal shocks him into venturing with no particular instruction in mind. There Is No Game also opens with a moment of systemic breakdown, in which a user's action continues throwing the game into more chaos. Both take a mundane initial scene, something associated with procedural work, and break it down into a more aesthetically pleasing game form. Both find ways of expanding on formulaic connections to establish screens by imaginatively challenging expectations for what could or should happen next. These games don't just comment on what it means to exist within a video game, but comment on the types of connections games can not only make with people, but with other games. I can't say that certain games feel emotional attachments to each other, but they do definitely build off each other. And players may be given ideas and feelings from one game that become altered through direct interactions with other games. This is highlighted through the connections going between game, GG, the creator, user, and even Glitch. These games say something about how an experience of the world works, how it feels to experience or be subjected to some sort of situation. Though when games define their realism in this way, they can only show qualities of the world with an incomplete representation of real life. Nothing about the world I'm interacting with through the video game is directly affecting the world I currently exist in. When I influence the world of a metagame, no matter how meta it is, I can only influence the simulation being shown to me through my click or button press, not my own world. If I fall asleep to having to create a runaway from the glitch vacuum cleaner, I could rest assured that I am not actually forcing this person to literally break down from exhaustion in an infinite running loop. Metaproceduralism can achieve drawing attention to its own components and materiality, however. The components making up the metagame are an abstraction, but still enough to get us to relate to characters and environments in our actual world. Narratively, the entire progression through There Is No Game is a metafiction of game and user's forceful deconstruction of virtual dimensions to find glitch. Metaprocedurally, we're playing a game of uncovering clues of loosely related objects while engaging with the banter between game and the dimension's characters. The fiction of this story shows user and glitch saving the world from an invasive computer virus, where the procedure of this story shows the user clicking on an ice cream cone for 20 minutes, refusing to take hints. Both show qualities of reality, but the latter is more likely representative of our actual progression for reality, while the former is a romanticism of this real-life progression. When Game first reunited with their creator, it didn't take long before the creator recognized Game as something that could be communicated with as if it were human. And when Glitch pointed out that sharing the same code as Game made them have similar voices, I couldn't help but think of them treating code like their own genetic material as opposed to a set of instructions. As I played this game, making my way through the worlds with increasingly abrasive treatment of the screen elements, I realized I was following my own algorithm to facilitate progress. I could have just listened to the game and stopped playing, but I did the opposite, procedurally figuring out how to get further into the story. Furthermore, the process of making up these procedures and algorithms were made of mingling diegetic and non-diegetic actions. Diegetic actions being the ones felt and experienced by characters within the story, whereas non-diegetic ones are the options normally reserved for the player, like those typically found in the option menus. When these two realms integrate though, it is easy to feel like I am integrating with the digital world normally closed off to me, experiencing phenomena as an in-game character would, and when I choose to act on the game world, it feels like I am harnessing this unique combination of human and computer intention that makes playing through There Is No Game so reflective of the way that I interact with technology in my own world. My playthrough of this game has made it more apparent to me that there are times that both people and technology can simultaneously be involved in the processes that we don't immediately associate with either.